Big news football-wise, too, when you talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who Miami's opponent for the first game, obviously. And interesting story just came out this morning I want to talk about. So studying Notre Dame, they love this guy, Charles Jagusah. He had some injuries last year, and there was some shuffling. They had great depth, so their offensive line stayed dominant. But this was, according to many people there, their most talented, best offensive lineman. They never protected to start at right guard. Could have potentially played tackle. He played left tackle in the game against Ohio State. So this is somebody who, on talent, they'd say, like, this is the guy they talk about as their most talented guy, at least from what I've heard from Notre Dame. He's riding his ATV, or I guess a UTV, which, man, those are scary. I mean, it's, I remember I was riding one and took a spill when I was little. That was my last ATV experience. But definitely, if you're trying to make millions of dollars playing football, probably not the best idea. He broke his leg. Broke his arm. I apologize. Broke his left arm in the accident, his humerus bone. And Notre Dame said the initial prognosis is favorable. He returned to campus early this week for further evaluation. He had a torn pec last year, missed the season until the playoffs when he came back and started again. They think this is their best guy. But part of the issue, and you see it right here in this, like Notre Dame's offensive line last year had a lot of great depth. So they would have injuries, and then they'd move guys in, and the guys they moved in were just as good. Those guys that came in and started, that maybe were looking at a position battle to stay as starters, moved on. Sam Pendleton went to Tennessee. He's going to start. Rocco Spindler went to Nebraska. He's going to start. Pat Coogan, the center, who also plays guard, went to Indiana. He's going to start. These guys made big NIL money, even though they were basically like, borderline starters for Notre Dame, because that's how much depth Notre Dame had. So Notre Dame still has a very good starting five, even losing those three, but their depth has moved on, which is part of what happens in the portal. If you're good enough to be a starter and get paid a lot of money at another school, it's a Power 4 school. Tennessee, Indiana, those were playoff teams. And then Nebraska, another Power 4 team. So if you can go to those schools and be big money starters, like leaders of that offensive line, you're going to leave. So a team like Notre Dame that had extraordinary depth last year at offensive line now does not have depth. And now their best offensive lineman, at least their most talented offensive lineman in Jagusah, is hurt. And they're not saying what's going to happen for the Miami game, but obviously it's the first game. He has a broken arm. It's July 6th. At a minimum, he's going to miss some time of camp. So we'll see what's going to happen there. But, I don't know. We'll see. That's a bad injury. Galaxy King saying we should have grabbed one or two of those guys from Notre Dame. We got a pretty good offensive line ourselves. We had to keep our own guys, really, because teams were trying to get all of our guys. And I think in terms of the depth this year, guys that are going to be like those three for us, that's going to be Samson Okunlola, Tommy Kinsler, and Ryan Rodriguez as sort of our utility offensive linemen. So we have 8 guys that can go. We did a really good job keeping those 3 I just mentioned who could have started elsewhere. And now they not only project to start next year and probably not going to leave, because by the time the winter portal opens, they're already going to be sliding into that starting spot. But they have a chance to help us this year as well. So, we'll see, man. Rod Vick saying, however good this guy is, he's probably not better than McGlinchey or Quentin Nelson when we whip their candy asses. I mean, that's true. Notre Dame had a great offensive line when we played him and smoked him. Adam Springman saying their best offensive lineman guy played like 2 games last year. They'll be fine without him. Again, this is according to the Notre Dame people. This is not my opinion. This is listening to Notre Dame podcasts. They were like, hey, they're talking about their offensive line next year. They're like, Jagusah is the guy. This guy started at left tackle against Ohio State after missing the whole season. So they think this guy's the guy. That's what they've been telling people. And again, the depth that they had last year is out the door. They lost 3 guys that started in the playoff run to the portal. Forget graduation, to the portal. So they weren't going to feel it as much because they had 5 guys that are really good. But now when you start getting injuries, the depth feels a little more. So that is why they're having issues with an injury like this, because they lost all of their depth. And when I say depth, I mean guys that started for them during their run. So that's the issue with Notre Dame. And again, go to the Notre Dame message board and see what they're saying about Jagusah. They're not happy about this injury. This is somebody they thought was going to be really, really, really good. Canes Jones with a great point. Made out of spring without any cleanup surgeries and made it through the June practices. Praying we make it out of summer and fall camp without injuries. I know, knock on wood, injuries unfortunately happen. So I don't cheer for him. I don't celebrate him. But man, it's you hope. We were pretty healthy last year. You hope you can keep that health. Certainly nothing catastrophic is going to hurt these kids' careers. And then, there's certain guys that probably have more depth behind them than others. And, Carson Beck, obviously don't want him to go down. There's a few guys.